Well, here's an interesting little article that Matt McCloy at Comic Book News put out about Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern movie. Why look back at that? Well, apparently it's trending, or at least it was anyway, because it's recently been made available on Netflix. So people giving it a second look, I guess. But yes, he goes through the whole story about how it bombed and everything, even though it made $53 million in its opening weekend. And he shows the comparisons here for the 2011 releases. So we had Thor, and with a $150 million budget, it made $65.7 million, $449 million box office, 77% Rotten Tomatoes and all that. X-Men First Class, which was a really great film, $160 million budget, $55 million opening. Oh, so hey, and then Captain America, First Avenger, another excellent film. $140 million budget, $65 million opening weekend, $378.5 box office. All that's good stuff. What happened with Green Lantern? Well, look at its budget. $200 million. $53 million opening, which, if it had been one of these smaller budgets, that would have been all right, But it underperformed in comparison to the Marvel movies, even the Marvel offshoot of X-Men. So yeah, 2,000 million, $219.8 million box office. All right, so the problem with the movie was the plot-wise. I mean, ultimately, the really, really god-awful thing was the villain's Parallax, this big monster, wipes out quite a few Green Lanterns, just defeats them completely, and then comes looking for Hal Jordan because he's got Abin-Sur's ring and all that, and battle, and then what does Hal Jordan do? He says, I know, I'll throw Parallax into the sun. And it works. That's the end of Parallax. And none of the other Green Lanterns could figure that out. Stars everywhere, but it never occurred to them that they could just throw him into one of those. Yeah. The rookie Green Lantern figures that out, So. Plus, the personality of him was to be a silly, comical character. There's silliness in the old Green Lantern stories here and there. It's mostly just a rip-off of Clark Kent, Lois Lane stuff between him and Carol Ferris in there. Because I've been reading the old Green Lantern stories in the Silver Age collections and stuff like that. And but not to the point that it was here. Oddly enough, this is like the goofy comedy that everyone believes is the secret to Marvel's success. These movies didn't have that much. There's humor in them, but hell, there was humor in Man of Steel. But he tears up the truck driver's truck and stuff and leaves him to find it and all that. Stuff like that, but not to the point that it is now, where it's paramount and up front. Out of all these Marvel movies, it's the Green Lantern that tries to do that. So anyway, it goes into the story about the whole background, what happened and what they were trying to do. Interference with Man of Steel, of course, but it didn't hit $1 billion, so they panicked and did Batman versus Superman, which had cool stuff in it, but it's a flawed film. It doesn't even work as a film in a lot of ways, even though the extended version is much better. The story it works out better. It's still a mess, and it's just rushing to keep up with Marvel and all that, and just hurry up and get Batman in there. It was a panicked move instead of just do a Man of Steel sequel. And they had all these plans and stuff they probably should have kept to, but they kept panicking. And the main thing with Green Lantern was the terrible plot, making him a kind of an idiot, really. He was reckless and stupid and all that type of stuff. And then his reaction to aliens is rather quick and whatnot. They didn't take it seriously. They just kept making fun of themselves through the whole movie. And so why should the audience take it seriously, But the budget was way too much for what they got. I mean, they decided. I understood the thinking that the whole suit would be made of light and stuff, because that's Green Lantern's ring makes the costume and all that. But in the end, this could have easily just have been a rubber suit, which probably would have been cheaper to do. And you still could have had the effect. It just appears and all that, but whatever. So it flopped, and the backstory was that Ryan Reynolds was interested. He wanted to do a superhero role. He saw that as important for his career and whatnot. He kind of put his finger in the wind and saw what was coming. But he wanted to do The Flash. And they said, no, either play Green Lantern or pound sand. So he went, okay, he'll do Green Lantern. And apparently the director originally wanted Bradley Cooper. So nobody's really happy at the outset with this. Matt McGlone goes on about some of the leaks he was able to do, but the concept art showed Kilowog, and a lot of stuff looked cool. But then we had the cool teaser at the end where Mark Strong cast as Sinestro was pretty damn good, and he was good. And I'm sorry that we don't get to see more of him as Sinestro. But, well, there you go. So there was supposed to be a sequel, and this, he goes into the details. Also, it takes place in space. Good idea. Start of the film, Hal Jordan Sinestro appeared to stop an intergalactic killer, Arkillo. But Sinestro later frees him to join his new corps. So I guess he'll be in disguise as a Green Lantern going forward, and then reveal that he's Sinestro, yellow ring and all that. Sinestro's decision to leave the Corps is mainly due to his distrust of the Guardians and the fact he feels that the universe laughs at the Green Lantern. Well, they did in the last movie, so he's got a point. Sinestro feels that a new Corps should replace him. Sinestro visits War World. That's cool. I wonder if Mongol was going to be there. To recruit members to his new Corps. Sinestro frees Amin Sur and recruits him to the new Corps. There's a reference to Amin Sur's previous attempts to destroy the Corps, which happened in Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters. Carol Ferris is kidnapped by Sinestro to draw Hal Jordan to him. Jordan requests that the Guardians deploy the entire Corps to Karuga to rescue Carol and defeat Sinestro Corps, but they deny his request, which just goes to show Sinestro had a point about the Guardians. So he subsequently makes a plea to the Corps via transmission of his ring. Several hundred respond and encounter Sinestro's fledgling Corps in a battle above Karuga. Hal, Kilowog, and Tomari use the large battle taking place above Karuga as a distraction to sneak to the surface of the planet to rescue Carol. There they are confronted by Sinestro, Arkillo, and Amin Sur. Hal and Sinestro eventually match each other while Kilowog defeats Arkillo and Tomari defeats Amin Sur before they rescue Carol. The battle between the two Corps ends with the Sinestro Corps retreating due to the majority having little experience with the ring. Yeah, you didn't think that one through, huh, Sinestro? There is a foreshadowing to the third film with a discussion by the Guardians mentioning that a war of light is coming. Yeah, well, at least they're have some participation. Ryan Reynolds, Mark Strong, Blake Lively. Okay, all these guys were to return. Kevin Michael Richardson was expected to replace Michael Duncan Clark as the voice because, well, sadly he passed away. So that actually sounds really good. Yeah, it probably could have saved the franchise, but it just never got the chance. So then he goes into Ethan Van Sciver rewatching it, and seeing how terrible it is. But that he's on the outs with everybody because he doesn't bow his knee to the Church of Woke. He makes the point that the movie agrees with us that it's stupid. Yeah, probably should have fixed that. And they mock themselves and all that. That Ryan Reynolds would have been a good Hal Jordan, but they changed the character to a goofy clown that makes dumb wisecracks about things that should shake him to his core, aliens and plus he makes a good point about he's Spider-Man. If he isn't Deadpool, I don't think he's Flash. I thought Ryan Reynolds would be ideal to play the Flash. Okay, yeah. But he talks about the planet. Oh, well, yeah, it makes it look like Mordor. Yeah, it's all creepy and dark and evil stuff. It's supposed to be like the Emerald City of Oz. Yeah, it's supposed to be this advanced, futuristic-looking city and stuff like that. Yeah, nothing. So, and then the bad news, the really god-awful. This gives you a tease of what they should have done, but they panicked and didn't trust themselves to have it, and God knows how they would have messed up this whole plot here. This is pretty good. This would have made a good movie, but dumb crap would have been tossed into it. But if the plot stayed strong, it still could have worked. The bigger problem I have with the 2011 Green Lantern is, of course, that idiot plot about, well, yeah, the sun kills Parallax, but the other Green Lanterns didn't figure that out. Even the Guardians, it's like, what the hell? So anyway, as previously mentioned, the future of the Green Lantern movies involves the HBO Max series, and J.J. Abrams is said to be developing a film using Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Of course, Ryan Reynolds went on to play a huge success with Deadpool, and Deadpool 3 is coming. So the HBO Max series, it sounded interesting, and they're throwing a lot of money at it, but all they want to talk about is skin and genitals about it, and Alan Scott being gay, which is just something they slapped on it in the 11th hour. There was a gay Alan Scott that they did for the Earth 2 series, which again seemed like it was slapped on at the last minute for that series, despite the fact that for a long time they'd already established that his son Obsidian was gay, but he's not cool enough, I guess, so they just retroactively, decades of story, decide to make him gay, and it's all for that look at me, look at what I did, aren't I great? And then so will there be actual interesting story? I don't know. Maybe one or two here and there, but it could come along like the What If series. I've seen the 4 episodes so far. The first 2 are absolute garbage, and then the next 2 are not too bad. In fact, the Doctor Strange one is pretty good. So maybe it'll be like that, but I don't know. But interestingly enough, Greg Berlanti, he bases it here that him and Guggenheim said, hey, look, they had a different script for the Green Lantern. They got fired from it. So don't blame us for that disaster. Our names were stuck on it, but we didn't have anything to do. Yeah, nobody's defending Green Lantern 2011. So, but J.J. Abrams, I don't know. Yeah, Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart movie would be all right, but and there was one floating around about Tom Cruise being in one and all that stuff, and handing the baton to Jon Stewart, and then Jon Stewart would go on to be a part of Justice League and all that sort of stuff. But man, what a missed opportunity, because this would have been a cool movie, I think. But look, it's Warner Brothers. They'd find a way to mess that up too, because they just can't leave well enough alone, And whatever scripts and ideas, that's at the beginning. You don't come back later in the 11th hour and change it into something else. But that's what they did to Justice League. Look how that turned out. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.